Namaskaram. Today we are here to take you through the complete journey from a struggling student to a super student with a practical case study. Now, when we say struggling student, many of the students have an internal fear that once an experience a failure, they may not be able to get back. This could be because of the regret. This could be because of thinking that how others think about them, or this could be the simple fact that they are once again dependent on their parents. The reasons could be infinite, but it is very hard for someone to come back strong like a phoenix bird. Now, today I have one good example of a super student who went through her own struggles journey, and from there she came out of it very fast, very soon. So let me introduce Ms. Deekshita, who has recently given her inter examinations and who has spent the last 3 months at Him Life School. So Deekshita, I'm going back to the starting point of where we first met. So I think it was a 57-minute conversation, and after that you moved from your home to Him Life School. Now, what was your state of mind before the conversation? Let's say while you're walking in, while you're coming in, what was there on your mind?
When I was actually coming to meet you here, we didn't really have an idea of what was Him Life School about and what Him was all about. Usually when people or in general parents seek for guidance, they look for some coaching.
Yeah.
So that is how the usual mentality goes. And we thought you were a career counselor. So the minute we came and the way you started off and you rightly hit the points that we actually needed to hear, and every student suffers, or let me be personal, like what I was going through, and the points you spoke about, it was like right on the nail. So that immediately made us feel, yes, this is the right thing that needs to be done, and so that is why I'm here.
So what were you actually going through?
So me as a person, I was always a last minute kind of a study person. Like anything I should do last minute and used to get through. And all throughout my life, I think most of the students also would have experienced. You study something in this one class, you get done with the 9th finals, but you forget what you learned in the 9th. And then you go to another class, it keeps going, you feel you're actually doing good, but then you don't remember, you don't retain. That's actually a flaw that we don't realize because we don't really learn. Everything kind of gets mark oriented without us knowing. So here, after coming here, what I've learned is how to enjoy the art of learning. And then because me, without putting an extra effort, whatever I'm learning is already being retained. And if you ask me, I'm able to go back and tell the same thing, which I don't know if I would have been able to do it before. I would remember it vaguely, but not, you know what I mean, like the conceptualized clarity, when you actually put in a passion and put in your love for something, when you fall in love with the process, which I was lacking there. It wasn't happening with me then. So that is a change I see.
Perfect, very well articulated. At that state of mind, you were not sure about what is going to happen with your attempt. And after that conversation, after that 1 hour conversation, what changed and why were you able to? What specifically changed?
That conversation actually, I was at a point where I knew things weren't happening the way I wanted it to happen, but the how, the when and how were very uncertain. The minute I heard him talk and the way he hit the points, it gave me a very big confidence and a boost up, because he was not being very optimistic or unrealistic. He had a very realistic approach. He will tell it to you cut right, honest about how it is going to happen, where you stand, and how he'll take you through. So it's not even like a sugar talk kind of a thing. So it was very realistic, and his approach is all strategic. So there's no doubt, once you talk to him, you will get to know. So there is no room for unrealistic things. He's very meticulous in his strategizing the plans for the students that way. So somehow when he spoke to me and when he was talking to me how the 100 days, 100 marks for each day, 1 mark you have to do. So his way of thinking was very different from how usually people approach certain problems. So that is what made me.
So she is very clearly explaining her perspective. Now, at this junction, let me tell you my perspective. This is far more important. So, in India, failure is not embraced properly. I think it's a bad thing. So, but in general, if you look at it at a fundamental level, when you're failing, it means you're trying something which you cannot do, which means you're trying to level up. You're trying to climb a wall which is a lot more higher than your ability. That's a good thing because you don't fail in things which you can already do. So we look at it that way. Being an entrepreneur, failure is, it's one more thing. It's a fact. That's it. It doesn't have an emotion. Failure is a fact. So when I first met you and your parents, your mom's interaction was giving me two things parallelly. My girl is a bright student. She's not studying properly. It was happening parallelly. So I just had to break it down and I have to review the timeline and look at it. Okay, until 16, 17, she was doing exceptionally well. Then something happened. So there was a dip. Then the example which I always quote is Virat Kohli's 2-year slump in form where he could not score a century. But then we can't take anything away from him. It just took one more match for him to come back into the form. So we fundamentally believe in the internal ability of students, and we believe in the efforts of the parents. Parents have put in so much effort in parenting for the last 15 years. I know the kind of efforts people put in. So just because, simple example, just because somebody fails for a couple of attempts or a couple of years, that doesn't take anything from the kid, that doesn't take anything from the parent. So we kind of believe in their abilities. So form is temporary, class is permanent. So that way, that's how we started. So at that point of time, when I checked what has happened, and when I communicated my strategy, the level of excitement you had in your eyes was like, okay, this is what that day I understood, okay, she's someone who's just waiting for it. We just need to give her a slight nudge and she'll take care. And you never disappointed me from that point of time. So that was a starting point where I believed that you could do something. It was already there. So that's how we started. Now, once it came in, now this is the strategic part. A lot of people experience this at various levels. Let's say you're watching a fabulous motivational video. The same feeling that, okay, I just got a solution back. But when you actually start implementing, that is where the solution starts. Now, in this case, what happened? Okay, you decided to come in and probably you came in after a couple of days. So what happened afterwards?
So immediately after taking the decision, I was here in a day or two after taking the decision in February. So the actual excitement of starting something versus actually getting to the game and starting was different. It took me time because I was feeling like I was reading and I was doing what he was asking me to do. So he has a set of techniques, which is very new too. So I was in a sense that I was doing but it wasn't actually working out. Here for CA, it's more like a lone battle, but you should also have a sense of time and sense of speed, which I clearly lacked. I'm a kind of a person who needs to improve time management. I feel that aspect is also improved. Always have a sense of, not urgency, but be cautious of how much time you're putting into how much output you're getting. So that way, that first 1 month, I feel it was had ups and downs. It wasn't as smooth as you wanted it to go. But then he made me understand where I was actually lacking. So you'll have a day-to-day review. So he'll tell you where you're going wrong, what needs to be done, in what way it needs to be done. So once you clearly understand what he needs from you and how it needs to be done, you're done. So when he made me understand, it took me time to actually understand it on a deeper level and what he actually expects and how he wants it to be done, because that way you'll definitely clear. So my actual process actually started hard on from March.
Yeah.
So March and April were my intense periods. Though he believes I could have pushed more forward, more intensity, yes. Intensity always ups the game. But yeah, the value of intensity is also what I've learned, because me as a person, I lose focus really quick. When I'm concentrating, it'll be 100%, but then the attention span is quite low. So here I'm working on that also.
So at that point of time when you took a decision, I was able to trust you more, because a lot of people want something but they don't want to do anything about it. Now your parents have to invest into this program. You have to move out from home from the same city, which was not easy. So the moment you came in, then I was like, okay, she not only wants to clear, she's actually ready to do something to clear. That's where, I also bring in great intensity. If two people want to work together, the other person increases the intensity because of the other person. Like it's like a good partnership, very good batting partnership. And both the partners are in sync. Kohli, Dhoni, probably like they run like machines, right? So they kind of add up. So if I had to work with that kind of intensity with the student, I need to get that seriousness. So that step where you decided to move in, yes, okay, she's serious. Now what next? The 1 month transition, as much as I know that it takes time, I can always accelerate. I can say that, okay, it'll take your time, but then I won't say that. Although I know that you need time. So at that junction, I had a target of, okay, let's say a couple of weeks she might need extra buffer week. So until then I was reasonably tolerant, and then after the couple of weeks I wanted to intensify it. Although I'm not completely disappointed, but then I had a very clear sense of understanding of your capability. You're not matching that. It's not because you're doing less, it's because you can do more. So that's on a positive note where I decided to push it further, because I was concerned, okay, what if we fall short? What if we have to choose only one group? All of that. And when you're going through a transformation cycle, you have to go and see to the extreme end. Half of transformation, there's no half transformation, right? There's no half cycle. Half CA doesn't exist. So that way, we kind of had to go ahead and do that. So after the first cycle, something changed. Like you're struggling. There's a point, right? There is a point we clearly understand. Okay, Deekshita changed. Okay, I was looking at, okay, I give her something, she does it. I give her something, does it. So you started picking up things. So what changed, and what do you think worked at that point?
So the thing that actually helped me accelerate my process first was diligently following the index mapping. For the first few months, I hadn't actually received my books, and I was doing, so I actually didn't have a proper idea of how the index mapping had to go. So once I had the physical modules, books, when I actually implemented the index mapping, that gives you an insight of the overview of the whole subject. The thing in CA is the subjects are very vast, but index mapping helps you cut it down and get a understanding of the subjects in one-liners. So index mapping helped me accelerate my process. Like for costing, so I tried it out. I had to complete index mapping in 1 day and 1 modules in 1 day. So once you keep accelerating your speed and give yourself the defined targets and be strict with yourselves to finish, one thing that we'll feel is a sense of completion that we'll want to have. You will not have, but then you'll just have to keep going. And he also made me write a lot of tests. So through tests, when you test yourself, when you know where you stand, that way you can again go back to studying and filling the gaps, just rather than studying from the start. Study first, then test yourself, again study, fill in the gaps. That is how it has to go. But what we usually perceive is first the studying needs to come and then the testing. It has to be a mix of both to actually know where you stand, and not just a sense of completion in your head of how much you think you know versus how much you know.
Yeah, this is interesting. How much you think you know versus how much you know. Why do you think they know, and why do they don't know? Like, what's the difference between these two for students?
In the beginning, when I met you, you actually told me how confidence is usually, how a person should have a confidence. It should be backed by competence. Usually people tend to have, that false confidence, or that confidence that they can do it, which is not bad, which you need to fake it till you make it, but you should also analyze yourself of where you stand. Sometimes that confidence might make us overstate where we are, or might make us overestimate, or that might also give us flaws in our planning. So I feel confidence should be backed by competence. Then the students will actually know where they stand, including me, because I also went through the same. You might be equally capable, you might be really good, but it needs something more than what you think you need to actually get to where you want to be.
Perfect. So if you look at the transition part, first, as I mentioned, index mapping gives you a complete picture of the subject, so that will help you to define the scope, and question paper solving will help you to understand where you have to reach. So index mapping is the starting point and question paper is the ending point. When you know the way to start, when you know where to end, you will automatically accelerate. So this is about the subject part. I think day end revision, previous day revision, 5-time revision, all of this are linked to the subject part, which will accelerate your preparation process. Now at a psychological level, at a personal level, how did you evolve? What changed? Even because both the evolutions happen parallel, right? Improvement here will lead to here. So this is exactly how it goes. So when you joined, what was your state of mind? Further, what is how did your psychological evolution go?
So when I actually joined, I was in a kind of, I actually don't know how to term it, whether I was lost or I was very disinterested. I was in a state where nothing really interested me, or nothing really made me want to, give that push. Or I didn't have that kick in anything. I wanted that so badly. And fortunately, by God's grace, I came to a place that helped me find myself back. Like what Sir said, from a slump you've come to the normal. This is not the heights you can reach. So at least that way I felt from what I was, I don't know, nothing interested me. But after coming here, the hope back that, I will find something that I'll have a kick in, or something that interests me, something that I'll actually put an effort that will move me to make me move forward, and not just for the sake of it. Because if it doesn't come from within you, you can take horse to the pond, but you can't make it drink the water. So that is what the state I was in. So this, I feel, whatever, regardless of the results, I feel on a mental level that I've gotten back the confidence and the zeal to keep me moving forward, and I think I've found something to push myself.
And your mom and dad spoke a lot about your overall improvement, overall change in personality. Now, what changes do you think they have seen in you? Like,
okay, one thing is maturity, I would say, because when you've been put in an environment where you actually can't, because most of our decisions we've taken unconsciously or consciously, it is being influenced by our parents' choices and all. Here, I feel I've taken most of the decisions, whether it be small scale or any impactful decisions, it was all by myself. You have to put that cognitive effort into thinking of what is good for you and not. That is very important. That is also an aspect of being independent, making your own decisions, seeing, because I am also a kind of person who has a lot of mood swings. So how to handle your moods, and it should not be visible on your face. How you have to balance everything, because everything won't go smoothly as you want it to be. There will be ups and downs. First, you have to accept that this is how it's going to be, and prepare yourself, brace yourself for any time it comes. You should be ready. So that way, I feel I've gotten the maturity to handle things better.
And moving forward, let's say when someone is stuck in this cycle of attempts, how should they know that this is the right place for them? Because they won't be able to think clearly. They don't have the confidence to ask for the parent support. The problem is, when you're in a problem-like zone, you keep drowning deep without trying to come up. So how should a student look at this? Because they're neither able to decide for themselves, neither able to take their parent support. In general, who should come to HLS and how should they take decisions?
So I feel if the students, if they are suffering from, giving many attempts and not being able to do, they themselves know where they lack. Because studying again in the same environment, in the same house, maybe you'll get again the trauma back, or you won't have that perfect environment. House is like a place where there's external plus internal distraction. Internal distractions are there anywhere where you're here, but when you come here, even that kinds of get eliminated. Here, you'll have such a mindset getting cultivated in you that any environment you're in, you are able to study, you're able to maintain the intensity. It is difficult, it takes time, but then that is the process you undergo. And that one aspect of parents not agreeing and they are hesitant, I think you should take a move forward, because this is the kind of environment that pushes you forward. It brings you out of that at least the feeling of the slum zone you're in. It puts you in an environment where you're actually doing something. There is a progress, and yeah, you will feel much better in place because of people and the process makes a very big difference. Even when you're alone, you think it's not happening, because the fact that it's taken so many attempts, you need that one component factor which is missing, the X factor.
So Deekshita, you guys took a 1 hour decision after 2 hour decision. Now on a scale of 10 with retrospection, how happy are you with your decision to join HLS?
Very happy, sir. Very. Yeah.
And finally, to summarize the experience of HLS in one word or one sentence, how would you put it?
Transformational or intense. Yeah, holistic development.
So transformational, intense, holistic, these are very close to us. And personally, I'm proud to reintroduce my super student Deekshita because of the level of transformation she personally went through. And the best part is that it wasn't easy for her. It wasn't easy for her. There were conversations where I had to be very, very hard and harsh, and it was not easy, but never for a moment or for a minute I felt that she is not understanding it, she's resisting it, because the whole point is she knows that she needs to do something, but some point of time we have our mental comfort, we have physical comfort zone. She has experienced one of the fastest acceleration journeys here, and that is the reason why I'm very bullish about her next steps, whether it's articleship in academic further pursuits. So that way, Deekshita is always our super student and remains so. And most importantly, it's because of students like super students, HLS exists, and this is the reason why we have created what we have created, and this is the reason why we have become who we are. So I'm very, very, very happy to have you, Deekshita. Along with the friends, Manju has given a roaring feedback about how we would make the environment like that. Mitra just got connected to you, and Radha, I already know, like you guys are inseparable. So that way, yes. So you have been a great asset, and I wish and pray for your success, and we're going to continue this journey for the times to come, and you'll be
Thank you so much.
part of HLS. Okay.
Yes, looking forward to it.
Okay then.